Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the Warhammer Day preview for Kill Team. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Warhammer Day preview: Scorpions and Scouts skirmish above savage seas. So obviously, if you've been following the channel for any amount of time, we have been talking about this rumor for a while now. And obviously, it has turned out to be 100% true on the models, which are the Scouts and Striking Scorpions, which I think is great. Unfortunately, the terrain is definitely not what we expected. So let's take a look. By now, your kill teams have conducted clandestine operations across numerous war zones, from the ruin-strewn battlefields of the Octarius to the claustrophobic confines of the Gallowdark. After the cataclysmic finale of Gallowfall, this creaking space hulk has plummeted through the atmosphere of the planet Beta-Decima. This nascent forgeworld has been heavily wounded by devastating impact, but its tech magi continue to conduct clandestine experiments deep within its sea-bound industrial rigs. These perilous platforms are the setting for the next season of Kill Team, and two teams of stealthy operatives are already preparing to clash above its predator-infested seas. So right off the bat, I gotta say, the overusage of the word clandestine is just out of control here. Under zero circumstances should that word ever appear in two paragraphs in a row. Alright, so let's take a look. So we have the Scouts, we have Striking Scorpions, and then we have what amounts to a new kind of like Mechanicus looking world. And we have already seen some previews of the Scouts. Striking Scorpions have been well overdue for new models. So very cool. We see a grapnel launcher from a Reaver on one of them. We definitely see the old look of the Striking Scorpions, but with a fresh new feel. Really nice looking models right here. Definitely a fan. Super cool. So we see some specialists as well as like your Exarch for the Scorpions. Yeah, definitely a big fan. These look a lot like the old Scouts reimagined. Not quite as much like the Neophytes from the Black Templars, but kind of somewhere in between. Nice look overall though. Very, very cool. Seek your salvation. So this is Kill Team Salvation, and we see some of the terrain right here. We see the Scouts and Scorpions, and we see that they have changed up the box. So it does look like not only have they altered the warcry seasons, which have clearly failed, but now it looks like they're doing the same thing for Kill Team as well. So they're going to be breaking this down into basically two kill teams with some minimal like scatter terrain, and then also a large box of terrain, rather than just selling the big box itself. Now, I'm curious if they are going to be putting a rulebook in this set, if they're still going to do the kind of starter set and expansions, or if now we are to fall back on the actual like Kill Team starter set completely. Dispatch to Beta-Decima to rescue a Farseer held captive by an ambitious Magos. The Blades of Cain draw their members from various aspect warrior shrines, including the Striking Scorpions, the sneakiest close combat specialists in the Aeldari field. Alright, so the actual Striking Scorpion models were not terrible. But these are really nice, and then these are obviously reimagined in plastic. So very nice. We see the Scorpion Claw on the Exarch. We see like the typical like style and everything of them. Yeah, really nice. We see the Manda Blasters. Definitely a big fan of these. I like the poses, and just really, really happy to see them in plastic. And then we do see some bear heads for the first time as well, so that's pretty cool. Or as close to bear heads. Yeah, really good looking models here. It does look like we have some repeat poses. I recognize some of these tactical rocks. So rather than 10 brand new models, it looks like we're basically getting 2 sets of 5 and then just some alternative ways to build them. So likely you'll be able to build an Exarch and then have a different build for that Exarch into this guy right here, and then so on and so forth with the other various models. So really nice, definitely look good. Striking Scorpions are consummate hunters, specializing in stalking their prey through dense environments. These patient warriors often lay motionless for days, observing their victims before descending upon them in a whirlwind of shuriken pistols, manda blasters, and chainswords. To free their Farseer, they must battle the Scout Squad Kill Team, brought to defend them. Space Marine Scouts are astartes in training, sent to exaction missions to stress test their skills and demonstrate their mastery of the battlefield. Alright, so now we have a look at the Scouts here. So we see the Sergeant with the chainsword. Definitely like that face right there. Just really nice looking detail on these guys. They still look like the old Scouts. You know, they have the cloth with like the little bits of armor, but they don't look all derpy. And then we see a shotgun one here. Lots of cool options on the Scouts. Now we don't see nearly as many like specialist type looking pieces or bits or style on the Scorpions. As we're with the Scouts, we obviously have like an Auspex here. We saw the Sergeant. We have a missile launcher. Here's one with the bolter, cool helmet right there. And then we do see the pistol and knife setup. And then also we have a heavy bolter. We saw a sniper. we saw the grapnel launcher, and then we actually also saw a missile launcher, so there are quite a few options. Armed with a diverse array of weapons, including astartes, shotguns, bolt guns, pistols, sniper rifles, heavy bolters, and missile launchers. These customizable squads are more than capable of tackling the Asuryani threat, and the myriad other crash-landed kill teams now operating in Beta-Decima. Kill Team Salvation is more tightly focused box than the previous releases. It contains 2 kill teams consisting of 10 Striking Scorpions and 10 Space Marine Scouts, plus 6 pieces of Salvation rig apparatus terrain. Okay, so once again, we are losing out with this box set because everything is going to cost more. We saw it happen with Warcry. It was exactly as I predicted. If you were previously going to buy the starter set with everything in it or the expansion box set with everything in it, it's now going to cost more to buy the same stuff, but it's going to be packaged individually. Now, this is good because it's going to provide options for people that want one or the other, but for people that were already buying everything, you get less of a discount. Ergo, it's more expensive to collect Kill Team now. Now, that being said, also, we have seen the Space Marine releases come out, and we did not see the Scouts in those releases, so it does look like that these are going to be behind the paywall, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're after the Scorpions as well. But if they're initially sold only the Scouts and the Scorpions together, and I don't know what the Scorpions rules are going to look like if they're going to get any changes, but the new Scout rules are absolutely amazing in 40K. Now, a lot of people are just going to use their old Scouts or some cool conversions, but a lot of people are going to be after these Scouts because their rules are just so freaking good for Space Marines. So putting these behind a paywall is going to cause the same issues that we saw with like Exaction Squad and Casterkins last season, which means that Games Workshop has tried to essentially like fix the issue with last season, but doesn't realize what it is or just failed to fix it. Because still putting the unit everybody wants behind a paywall is going to cause the same shortages, the same issues, everything that basically turned last season's Kill Team into a disaster. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. The box also contains a Kill Team Salvation book packed with background information on Beta-Decima and the combatants in the box, as well as rules for both teams and for fighting skirmish battles on extraction rigs jutting out of lethal ocean. There are also exclusive reference cards for both teams, including data cards, Tech Ops ability ploy, and equipment cards, as well as token sheets. You can use these kill teams with your own collection of existing terrain or grab the upcoming Killzone Bheta-Decima. The set contains 18 pieces of terrain to use with the new Killzone rules and Kill Team Salvation, including a Ferrotonic Furnace with the redesigned platform and ramparts, 8 modular gantries, 2 large, 2 small, and 4 medium, and 9 industrial-themed objective markers, plus a double-sided gaming board representing the toxic, fume-shrouded oceans of Beta-Decima. Alright, so this is the little bit of scatter terrain that's going to come with the actual Scorpions and Scouts. Pretty cool and all unique. Definitely has some similarities to the stuff that we saw in the Gallowdark set. And then here we see a full look at the Beta-Decima board. So it is pretty cool. It's definitely a different style. It's clearly along the lines of the Sector Mechanicus. And I think my biggest problem with it is not the actual terrain is terrible itself. It's maybe not the best for like actual playing of Kill Team games, but like the way the legs are solid and everything, there is quite a bit of line of sight blocking, even though it feels like a really open board. Obviously, if you're going to be traversing the various platforms, you're going to have to be doing like some kind of jumping or like using those grapnel launchers, specifically like the platforms and stuff like that, where you would have to be like climbing out of the water where it's just not viable. But I think the biggest miss on this set is not actually the terrain or the models. It's just like the theme of it. Clearly, the Striking Scorpions and Scouts should have been like in a jungle theme, honestly. I think this is a massive miss. And while I do like the Sector Mechanicus stuff, and I understand, especially after like the Warcry meat trees were like a complete bomb last season, maybe Games Workshop thinks people don't like organic terrain. But like the Scorpions, for instance, definitely feel out of place on this. I mean, they have bright green armor, but that's more of like a thematic thing than like anything being wrong with the actual set. I think overall it's a really nice set. I'm really happy to see more Aspect Warriors, specifically Striking Scorpions, and then of course the new Scouts as well. I do like the terrain, and the Sector Mechanicus stuff is super cool. I hope this is all completely compatible, as in like the bottoms still have all of the like little Lego holes in them, and then the like legs have the little pegs and everything. Because this is going to be like a nice addition. And it does appear, obviously we see how tall the Ferrotonic Furnace is, and then there's different pieces on top of it, but we can see these are like half-size legs. So the normal legs that we see in all the other Sector Mechanicus stuff are like full size. And then there's a bunch of other pieces which are half size. And now we have half size legs as well. And then we also have the addition of some long pieces. So previously we had the small ones and the medium ones. Now we have some large ones, which you could already just combine a small and a medium to make a large one. But now it's like a thing. So yeah, I think overall pretty cool. I like the terrain. It's not exactly what we pictured, but it's about as close as possible considering like the rumors / leaks. It doesn't mention it in this article, but there's also a bunch of like these special objective markers that are included in the terrain set. Those are pretty neat. It did mention that there are tokens and a book that come with the first set also, but didn't say anything about like an actual rule book. So it does appear that this is basically just going to be like two kind of like expansion boxes, one with the teams and some terrain and one just like a terrain expansion, but you will still need a core rulebook. We did see the addition of some tokens, which is good, but it doesn't include like the combat gauge, and it doesn't appear that we're going to be using barricades. So yeah, pretty interesting, pretty cool. I like it. If you do pay a little attention to these pictures after seeing everything though, we can see that some of these pieces are not in the set. Typically when they're like showing off the art for these, they're going to show off only stuff that's included in the set, maybe have something in like the background, but quite a bit of this stuff is actually not included. But we can see like the barricades around the edges here. I do like those. They look a lot like the other barricades in look, but they appear to clip onto the sides. So that is pretty neat. And I really like the legs also. It does appear they have like some built-in ladders to them. And I do like the half size also. So really cool. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Kill Team. And while we pretty much nailed what was going to be in this box set, still a little bit of a surprise. And I was definitely expecting them to stick with the big boxes for Kill Team. So the breakdown here is definitely a bummer for me personally, because I was going to pick all this stuff up anyway. And we know it's just going to get more expensive like it did for warcry, because you're not going to get the big box discount. But that being said, maybe this will help other players get into it, because I understand a lot of people do not like terrain, do not want terrain, or do not want to own terrain. And I completely understand that. Terrain takes up a ton of space. It's super bulky, super heavy, takes a ton of time to like paint and do up a table. And most people, or a lot of people at least, don't want that. So separating out the majority of the terrain from the actual models, I think is a good start. And we saw it in the past with Kill Team and Warcry. And clearly they tried the big box setup, and one way or another it didn't work. In Warcry, they completely bombed and nobody was buying them. In Kill Team, there was massive shortages and nobody could get a hold of them. Again, a lot of that had to do with locking specific models in those box sets. So you had a bunch of 40K players buying Kill Team box sets with no intention of playing Kill Team. So this is kind of a step backwards, like I was saying with the Warcry stuff, but at the same time, they tried something different. It didn't work for one reason or the other. It was either too good or not good enough in the case of Warcry or Kill Team. So it makes sense for them to take a step back and do what used to work. And hopefully now this is going to help. So let me know what you think down below. Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. I am super excited for this. I've been pumped. I've been waiting for the Kill Team news. And now that we got it, I got to say, I love it. I think it's great. So special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man. It's not exactly the environment I thought these two teams would be interacting in, but I'm still really excited, and I'm out of here.